Maestro.
Hi.
Hi. I should have told you what luxurious car I was going to be in. So we basically kind of just want to know, like, why conducting? How'd you get into conducting? Like, what was the journey that led you there?
Well, it was to make a long story short, it started out as a pianist, which a lot of conductors do, of course. And then
phenomenal pianist, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And then at Oberlin, I started really falling in love with vocal repertoire and singers and languages. And then at Westminster Choir College, where I did my MM, I worked under...
Oh, did you? I didn't realize you did that. Okay.
A great choral conductor.
Is that Flummerfeld? Yeah. Is he still there?
No, he's retired.
Okay.
But Flummerfeld is kind of like my musical grandfather.
He's sort of he's a figure.
And I feel like he has always been able to, he can walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah.
I mean, his ears are phenomenal. And while I was at Westminster, I was able to assist him on getting everything ready for the New York Phil.
Nice.
So I played, my first year at Westminster, I played rehearsals for Colin Davis and Pierre Boulez.
Oh, nice.
That was kind of...
What pieces did Boulez conduct?
Boulez did Parsifal Act 2.
Oh my gosh.
So that concert was at Carnegie Hall with Michelle de Jong, was Kundry, and the women of the Westminster Symphonic Choir were all of the Flower Maidens. And they hired six soloists, but then... So I prepped I guess it's like double or triple chorus there.
Okay.
So we had rehearsed that, and the other part of that concert with Boulez was Mahler 10.
Oh my.
Yeah, so you...
So make sure we get in the camera.
Yeah, so you don't forget that. You don't forget...
No.
And I was back in Isaac Stern Auditorium for just hearing a concert this past December, and I feel like all I wanted to think about was listening to Boulez with Cleveland, and it was Cleveland Orchestra that had come.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was just, so those were, I think, the earliest things of me having this idea of like, maybe something like this is possible as well. Like, you can still be a pianist, and then...
Sure, of course. And you could do all the chamber music you want to do.
Right. And I mean, literally, I can't remember a time in my life where I couldn't read music or wasn't playing.
I sort of can, but it's very early,
Yeah.
And it's hard to remember. Like, I know when my mom looks at like a score, she just thinks it looks like Chinese. Like, she has no. And for me, it's like it's inconceivable to not know what these things mean.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it's fascinating. And you think, like, probably 98% of the population has no idea.
No, that's right. That's right. Or even just, I mean, what being chorus master has reminded me of this actually is that the men are like, this is not that this is we're about 8 steps behind you and where you're instructing us. So just these men. But one thing that did come up, which was funny, was I tried to make some stupid analogy in a rehearsal about subdividing something, and then I said, yeah, it's just like splitting an atom. And we had people in the chorus raise their hand, and they said, no, it's not.
Because they knew that better than they knew what a subdivision was.
Like, they knew how to split an atom better than they could see a triplet.
And you got to do a bit of the Prova l'Italiana the other day.
Wonderful.
So talk about that, what that was like.
Well, that was, I mean, I have grown, it's the phrase cut my teeth. Yeah, that's a good, that's a good.
It's so true though, it's kind of brutal,
where you just have to, and you have been so kind. And in fact, I was thinking of this walking out to where you were picking me up, is that about 3 years ago, I had sent you that message. I said, do you give conducting lessons? And I had gone to your...
I think I said not really.
You said not really, but you know what? And then, I sort of showed up anyway.
Yeah.
And, we were... And then, 3 years later, here I am. It's really exciting. But going in and... so what I did for the prova was all of the accompanied recitatives. And in this piece, there's the earlier... there are a lot. But the chords really act in a lot of... Especially in this piece, I feel like they act as this Greek chorus where they comment on what is about to be said or what has just been said, and then it's our job we have to steer that plane, but it's very tricky because the chords don't always happen on the first beat or always happen on the last beat. They're put kind of wherever, and it depends on what the text is saying and how the text is composed.
And it's by far the most technically, you should mention that I specifically gave you the recitatives because it's the technically, anybody can conduct an aria. I mean, especially the Poglione aria just goes. But you really sort of learn what's going on during the accompanied recits, and they're not particularly fun and you have to concentrate, and it's like, and it's not particularly fun for the orchestra to play either, because it's like, oh, here's a G, you know. But they and the more they can actually think about what's going on and think, oh, this is an F sharp. I'm in the in the middle of the chord. I got to raise this a little bit higher. I got to think harmonically. Then they play better. But at this point, they're still kind of getting their feet, under them and figuring out like what's this chord. But they're frustrating because they're not fun for the orchestra to play. Right. They don't really have any context of what's going on. They're not particularly musically interesting. They're dramatically interesting,
yes,
and they help the drama flow. But they're just a pain, and they're awkward too. Yeah. But I thought, like, if you can do that, you can do anything. Like, you can do those recitals, you can do the whole piece. And so we're actually at our place now at
look at this.
Yeah, ABQ Indoor Karting, and ABQ Indoor Karting is definitely where this hobby/pastime/obsession started. There was an episode in the 4th season of Breaking Bad where Jesse goes to this track to disappear further into his mind, and that's kind of what this is like after a while. As manager Victoria tells us, he did a pretty good job, too.
His best time is a 25-1.
My best time is only a second faster. In addition to karts, they have video games and food, and one of the more watchable safety videos. This was Maestro Ditlow's first time on the track, and she was ready to go. All right. Woof.
We're back.
We're back.
Exciting.
So what was the first opera you conducted?
First opera I conducted was 2011.
Wow, recently?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, 2011. It was Sondheim's Assassins, which is really not an opera, but it was at Eastman. So I took probably from soup to nuts the time that I was in school, but I always took time off.
Yes.
So I did a degree, I did undergrad, and then I worked for 2 years in the field. Okay. And then I went back and did my master's degree, and then I took 5 years and worked. And then I went back and did the doctorate. I went in with a focus and a purpose.
Sure.
And really having an idea of what I wanted to get out of the time there.
Yeah.
Which was a deepening of more experience, a lot more conducting, and really a lot more scholarship about early music, which is one of the reasons why I went to Eastman.
So that was the thing you really wanted to study?
Well, because when I was working in Philadelphia for 5 years, I would often get phone calls from singers, and they said, well, I'm being hired to sing, I need to understudy this soprano role in Rinaldo, and then I also have to sing the Louis Couperin Tenebrae lessons, and I need to know how to do French Latin in 4 days. Can you help me?
Right.
And so I would figure it out really fast.
Right. Which is like that's like 90% of the gig. Someone says, "Can you do X?" and you have no idea how to do X, but you figure out how to do it a little bit better than that.
And it's still what the industry needs too. You know, these opportunities. I mean, the old, I think it's an old Chinese saying actually, where it's the intersection of luck meeting opportunity, and luck meeting preparation, and that's opportunity. That's what it is. Yeah. Luck and preparation are together, and then you have an opportunity.
But there is a lot of faking it sort of in the beginning. You just go, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I know.
And also just figuring that out. Well, and you mentioned conducting as a that you are teaching, which is exactly what it is. And I remember so the summer after I went to Tanglewood, so I was there in 2004 as a vocal pianist. I did the vocal piano fellowship, but in the spare time that we had, which wasn't much, they kept us really busy, I went and watched all the conducting classes, and every week they had a different kind of superstar conductor coming in. So
who are some people that came?
Seiji Ozawa came.
Yeah.
And so I was there the summer that I guess he had left and Levine was about to take over. And my big project that summer actually was I got to be the piano soloist for the Barrios Sinfonia.
Oh, I love that piece.
And
I love that piece.
I remember with that Barrio, it took every ounce of musical knowledge that I had at the time to do the piece, and it was.
And who conducted? Was Ozawa the conductor?
Spano conducted it. And it was amazing.
That piece, it was a revelation for me.
It was for me too. And I had never before getting the call from Tanglewood saying, "Hey, you want to come this summer?" And you just, of course, you say yes to everything.
Sure.
And they said, "We're going to give you the Barrio Sinfonia." So, and what was also special about that piece was there's, as you probably know, there's no orchestral reduction of it.
There is not.
So my big projects for that summer were, at some point, being the soloist, but before that,
coaching,
really helping the singers learn this piece.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it, but there was definitely more than once through that process where I thought, I think they've made a terrible mistake, and I don't know how I got here, and I don't know,
here's the secret. Everybody who's ever performed that piece feels that way.
But no one told me that. I mean, now working where you've worked for the length.
What do you think of it, Maestro?
I love peanut butter, so that's definitely.
All right, so we'll get one peanut butter, and then I'm gonna go with the double chocolate first, and I might supplement that. But so one thing I want to specifically talk to you about, because you're our second guest, but you're also our first female guest, is about that, and I talked to Katura, our director, about this too, about that line between being assertive and like coming off, that sort of sexist line that you can say the same thing a guy will say, and people are like, oh, she's bossy or she's pushy. I've seen that.
There's another word they use.
I'm not going to use the word. But my sister was that way. That she's very sort of assertive. And people would say, she's very bossy, and I'd be the same way, and they'd say, oh, he's very nice, he's very assertive. All right, little by little, I realized, like, wow, I have this advantage. This is amazing, But not amazing, obviously, when you're a woman. So, I mean, talk about that. Like, you've applied a couple times to the Dallas Women's Conductor Institute. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've dealt with your fair share of being brushed off because you're a woman, your fair share of not getting opportunities, seeing men who are half as talented as you get ascend through the ranks. So just talk a little bit about that, how you see that with, and you're actually seemingly living in a time where there's a real explosion of female conductors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that goes back as far as people like Nadia Boulanger.
Oh,
Who really started that tradition of, being this person who was just in charge. Like we were talking about with Levine, with saying you have that much clout and you can change things.
Cult of personality.
Right. And she's someone I love to even read more about.
Yeah.
But the reviews of her conducting, particularly the Fari Requiem, seemed to be a piece of hers that she did a lot, and people just really said this is a performance and interpretation you need to know. But she did all those summers teaching at Fontainebleau and mentored every composer in the 20th century studied. They crossed her threshold at some point to get her blessing and her advice on their music. And so I think with this generation of people, myself included in that is up and coming, and then people who have named positions in other companies, we all have to be grateful to the many people who've been working silently and who never got acknowledged.
Sure.
Also, Nadia, of course, we know, and then even my own very beloved accompanying teacher, collaborative piano teacher, Dr. Jean Barr at Eastman. She was the first person to get a doctorate in that field, and she started programs of its type all across the country. But she would always talk about cracking that glass ceiling and working in academia at a time when women weren't. Women didn't work there. And
so have you experienced it more sort of in academia or sort of just in pure music making?
I think probably both. I mean,
really?
The option, what music teaches us so much is this perseverance. We have to, because the option is do you stop it altogether, or what? No, you sort of assess. I'm not so happy about this small thing, and I'm going to deal with it this way, and then you continue. Probably one of the first jobs I had out of undergrad, which was a church music director job in suburban Philadelphia, which is where I lived for a long time before going to Eastman and then moving here. There was this old woman in the congregation who I couldn't do anything right.
Yeah.
And she was, I don't know, 85 and I was 22 or whatever. And all
so that was part of it.
Right, some of it.
Yeah.
And every week I would get notes on my desk.
From her?
Oh, yeah.
So, like you knew it was hers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I watched her put them.
Oh, my God.
And I remember after the third one or something like that, in the third one.
What was like the bulk of the, like what was the gist of the note?
Well, there was.
Like your beat is unclear or
it was, well, and I studied organ at Oberlin, but not, I mean, not as that's not my major instrument, but I studied it to be able to
get
play it,
yeah.
right? And so she didn't like how choppy my foot technique was. Now, so okay, this is a legitimate
organists. Oh.
Now, this is a legitimate complaint. So I got one of the notes said, "You wasted your money at music school because your organ technique is terrible."
Oh my God!
Yeah. And I still have.
My worst review is not that harsh. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But so I read that, and it was actually that where I thought, I think this is more of her problem than.
Yeah, right. Then it clicks. You
Right.
go, oh, you're just a miserable human being.
Right.
It's so true, though. I mean, it really is like a huge part of like letting go of. Because you know, I mean. You see this, you get a review, it's good, it's bad, you know, you can get pumped up, you get sad, you get irritated, you even find yourself getting angry at good reviews because you're like, this idiot missed this and that.
Like the thing that was the biggest success for me or whatever,
didn't notice. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that, and then you just, and people say, oh, how can you be so sensitive? It's like, well, that's what we do. I mean, you ever read Chopin's letters? The guy, you know, sometimes says something bad or he almost killed himself. Like, it's just, musicians are sensitive. And you know, just because conductors are in authoritative positions, like, we still have feelings, you know? We still get, you know, if someone's like laughing or snickering in the back, you get angry.
No, and we notice it because we think it's immediately something we've done.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Oh, it's so good and refreshing to hear you say that because sometimes I have been, and I must be the only person that is bothered by these things.
No. And then it becomes this thing like, at what point do you go, would you like to share with the class what's so funny, you know? Or at what point do you just sort of let it go? And sometimes you do have to take that stand and be like, you know what? I need you to stop. You know, it's like that episode of The Office where, did you watch The Office?
I have seen it. I don't know every episode.
There's this episode where Stanley, one of his employees, clearly doesn't respect him, and he says, and Michael is going on and he's saying,
Stanley, Eartha Stanley.
Not me.
Yes, you. Come on, Stanley. Put your little game down and join the group.
No.
Stanley, we're having a little
Leave me alone, damn it.
We're having a brainstorm session.
Did I stutter?
And Michael is sort of an idiot boss, but he does have to crawl into the carpet and say, look, you might not respect me, but you've got to, at least in front of people. You know, and that's kind of like, you might not respect me as a musician, but you got to at least pretend like while we're here, or else we're going to have mutiny.
You know, the beauty of having those calls where downbeat is at 7 or 7:30, right?
Yeah.
And then we have a break, and then we go, and then at some point the rehearsal is over.
Yeah.
And for that time, having those boundaries, I think it's such a good thing, actually.
It is, and that's why it's a weird thing of, I mean, yeah, you know some of the people because you work with them, and I'm sure you've been out with them, and I've been out with them and party with them, but at a certain point you just have to, it just has to be different. Like what I do is different than what you do. Not that what I do is better. In fact, what you're doing is very difficult. I'm not making any sound, but yeah, really maintaining those boundaries is so important, and it's the key to this weird illusion that we're all buying into for like 3 hours, you know, which is kind of what conducting is.